Hello and welcome to the Stretch Yourself, the Empowerment Podcast. This is the show for entrepreneurs and people that are all about staying focused and engaging on improving their relationships in business and in life. And on this episode, do you have a problem staying productive during the course of your business day? Meaning, have you gotten sidetracked while working and at the end of your business day, you didn't accomplish the task you were set out to move you closer to your goals? Well, that's exactly what we're going to help you with on this week's show, where you'll learn how to boost your productivity beyond just a to-do list and achieve more in your business and in life. Today's guest on the Empowerment Podcast is Cherelle Lans. Cherelle Lans is the CEO of Vision Strategy Management, LLC, that provides professional development, training, and coaching. Charelle walked away from a multi-billion-dollar company to pursue her passion. She's a strategist, a philanthropist, and a mother. A graduate of Florida State University with a degree in industrial engineering, she is the author of Leading with Feet, Making Intentional Steps to Live Out Your Best. Since the last time she's been on the show, she has won numerous awards, graced the stages of many companies, and is currently working on numerous projects that we're going to go into detail on this show. On the Empowerment Podcast, guys, I have to tell you, she was the #1 most downloaded show for 3 months, so I just had to have her back on the show to help the Stretch Yourself community with her knowledge and tips to be super productive. Cherelle, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Ron. I'm so excited to be back. Wow, I'm truly honored. Wow, 3 months. Awesome.
Yes, and like we was talking about before, it's 3 days before your anniversary. It has been a year, so man, it's a lot of things that's happened on my side of the business, and I know a lot of things that's happened on your side of the business, so I want to give you this opportunity to take the time and to tell everybody what is going on with you and your business.
My. Wow. So yes, I am so excited. The last time that I was on the show, so much took place. I have done a number of media engagements in print, as well as on the internet, as well as in the websites and things of that nature, which have been great. Leading with Feet has won 3 awards now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, and that's so exciting, and it continues to motivate, inspire, and really, really shift people's lives. I've gotten a lot of feedback as it relates to Leading with Feet. Since we spoke last, I have also established a partnership, and I've got a conference series that is launching this year, and we're taking it into several cities. We're starting off in Nashville. We'll come to meet you in Atlanta.
Yes.
Hopefully in June. So that's exciting. I mean, there's so much more that I could mention. It was featured on, I think, Working Nations. There's just been so much. I feel truly blessed and just grateful.
And blessed you are. I know when I started out and, everything launched with me, I was just totally humble. It just made me feel so good that I was able to reach out and make an impact and touch more lives, because that's what it's all about and stuff. So
exactly.
It's truly an honor and a privilege to have you back on the show. And today we're going to talk about being super productive. Everybody has a lot of different ways of being productive. And I know I have some examples. So, everybody on the Stretch Yourself community knows that I am the guinea pig. And so I like to give my examples of things that I have problems with. And hopefully, I know definitely that Charelle will be able to assist us with it. So, Charelle, I have a problem being productive. I have a problem being consistently productive. And here's the problem that I have. I'm thinking that I stay too long on some task. How can some of the viewers learn how to manage their time by being able to stay in on their to-do list or on their task or whatever they're doing on a set amount of time? Now, I'm using myself for an example. I will get on something and then I will be like a dog with a bone. I will gnaw on it until there is nothing left. And then I'm like, oh my God, at the end of the day, there's 2 other things I should have did. There's some calls that I should have made. And I feel bad about myself. How can you give me some tips to assist me into helping me stay in the game, but pull myself out that I can re-engage with some other projects and things that I have going on?
Yeah, so first off, I always say the most important time of the day is the morning, when you actually establish what you want to accomplish for that day.
Okay.
And the reason why that's important, to your point, is as you're going about your day, you may have your list of things that you want to do, and those are great. That list should be pinned to your long-term goal and objective. If not, you might find yourself getting stuck in the weave of distractions or falling off course, etc. It is so easy to get wrapped into something that you're working on and lose sight of the fact that you had 4 or 5 things to do. What I always suggest is, one, plan your peaks. And your peak is really the high productivity times of day that you have. When you think about the time when you're most productive, what do you do at that time? Are you wasting it? Are you on social media? I mean, unless social media is a part of your business or things of that nature, you want to monitor the amount of time that you spend on those actual tasks. You can even do simple tips like setting a watch or things of that nature. But to be honest with you, one of the things that I say, Ron, is if it's on target with where you're going and what you're doing, if you're in the creative space, give yourself the opportunity to flesh through that entire process. But once you've got the objective obtained and once you know exactly where you want to go, put a pin in it. You got to know when to stop. A lot of the times we just continue to roll in and through things, to your point, until there's nothing left. But then there's nothing else to do. And we want to get out of that loop to really say, okay, why am I on this task? What are the 3 things or 2 things I need to get up from it? And then put a pin in it.
Okay. That's great. That's a great. And while you was talking, I just had an epiphany. I was thinking, man, when I was writing my book, and I'm sure you had that same thing, when I engaged into my book, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down, and especially when I was in you said peak points, but I say focus hours. My focus hours is early in the morning time. So early in the morning time, I do my workout, my meditation, and I review my to-do list or my weekly to-do list that I have from the week that I prepared from Sunday. So Sunday evening, I prepared what I'm going to do, because what I've learned is that I never could ever get something done. But what has happened is, from me writing the book, and I'm sure you can agree, when you have that creative time, you stay in it. And I've overlapped that into my business. That was the epiphany that I just had. I overlapped it into my business to where, hey, I have to get this done, or I'm putting together a proposal, and I stay too much into it, and I don't walk away. I don't give myself that break. So that's a great key. That's a great key. Another problem that I have is I have a problem with me delegating. I know we was talking about that earlier, and I have my team, and I know I was telling you about the things that's happening on my team, and sometimes I always chant the words, and this is when I was starting out, I said, if it has to be, it's up to me. How can I be more trustworthy towards my colleagues that I have, my team that I'm working with, in order for me to get those things done? Because I'm thinking, okay, I can't let them do it. I have to do it.
That's right. You know something, Ron, and this is something that I actually talk to many business owners about, which is, it's almost like when you have a baby, oftentimes you feel like you're the best person that can care for that child. You know the needs, the heartbeat of that child, right?
Yes, definitely.
And so that's no different as it relates to your goal of being able to delegate. First and foremost, you have to recognize that you, one, trust yourself that who you have put in place, that they're capable of carrying forth the vision or the dream. Without that trust, you will run yourself stir crazy, as well as that person, because you'll constantly feel like you have to follow up on them to getting things done. So one is trust your decision to putting the right person in place. The second is the same way that you have to share your children with other people, whether it be the entity of school that they go to, and you've made those decisions to make sure that they're not in harm's danger. It's the exact same thing. You have to become comfortable with actually sharing your baby, recognizing that that person that you've put in place, as long as you've given them the right expectations, you've told them how what success looks like for you and how to measure that success or hold them accountable, how they get there, you have to trust that they can do that and do that in a way that creates success, even if it means that they don't get there the first try. Because in your mind, you also have to recognize that there is a learning curve, and that's a part of the process. That's a part of the trial and error. That's a part of getting to that space, but also give them the space to create ownership. When people own something, they invest themselves into it.
Wow, that's great. That is a great answer. Oh my God. Ownership. I think I'm missing that hole within that, because I do give them ownership, but I don't think they feel that it's ownership that they have with it. I think they feel like they're working for me as opposed to working with me.
Exactly. And it makes a huge difference in terms of them really feeling empowered to carry forth the vision. Because when someone really believes in the vision, they believe in it for themselves, and therefore they action it and they own it and they care for it in a way that they want to see it succeed and multiply. And that's the kind of person you want to delegate to, and you want to encourage them in that as well.
Okay. So, man, I'm learning some great things, Stretch Yourself community. I hope you're taking notes, but you don't have to take notes. Guess what? You can download this anytime. So, Cherelle, what is the importance of writing things down as far as, setting that project and writing those things down? What is the importance of doing that? I know most of the people that I talk with, they are telling me that, oh, I already know what I'm going to do. I have this in my head, but they haven't planned out the steps. What's the importance of writing those things down?
When you actually take it out of your head and put it onto paper and actually put it up somewhere, you hold yourself accountable to accomplishing it, because you take it out of your subconscious, you put it into your conscious space, but then you put it into view where you're forced to look at it, you're forced to see it, you're forced to move in it. If it's in your head, oftentimes it will probably get jumbled with the other thousands of thoughts that run through your mind on a day. If it's something that you really want to manifest and bring into fruition, you have to get it out of your mind and onto a sheet of paper. But then the next step beyond actually writing it down is beginning to put together a plan in place that helps you move towards it. And every day you just take very, very, very gradual steps, kind of like chipping away at it, so that you can ensure that you manifest it. But writing it down takes it out of your mind, puts it onto a sheet of paper, gives you the sense of ownership and accountability to getting it done.
Okay, great. So how does technology affect that? I mean, because I'm a writer, you're a writer, and I write. I have journals, I put things down. I have different colored journals that I have different colored projects. I'm very detailed that way. So, and I write down anything that comes to my mind, because I have to get it out of my mind. That's right. I have to agree with you. If you don't take it out of your mind, it's gone. For example, I had an idea the other day, and now it's totally lost because I didn't have anything to write it down. I usually have some little pads that I write my notes down with, and I didn't have it on me. And I said, it'll come around later, but I know it's not going to come around again. So how does technology affect it? Because I know for me, my electronic things, I don't want to touch them. And I don't want to store nothing on them because I know it's going to be lost. That's why I write. How can somebody use technology to be efficient? And I know this is probably a part 2 of the question. Does that help us or hurt us?
So I think you can lean the pendulum on either side. It helps us when, like you talked about, having your pad around you.
Yeah.
What's helpful for me, Ron, which is like for me, I get inspiration on the go. So I keep an actual tape recorder around me.
Okay.
And just for those random moments, I might just grab my tape recorder, capture my thought, and put it aside. just so that you get it again out of your head and it's not running in that loop. And because once it's in that loop, you kind of get stuck in it until something else kind of bombards the thought or actually pushes it aside. So that's one way that you can use technology to ensure that you're productive. There are so many different systems, and what I always say is you automate what you cannot delegate, right? So
I like that.
So if you've got the ability to delegate things, great. But then the other time stealers or things that are the monotonous work that we have to do, if there are ways, if you're finding that you're spending 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and it doesn't require your physical action to complete it, think about ways that you can automate it. OneNote is a good example, and there are plenty other planners or plenty of other systems that are online that we can use to map out and manage our day. I think Monday.com is another one. There's several different productivity tools that you can use that to help you map your day. But those tools are only as good as the information that you put into it. So if you put into it distractions and things that are time stealers, then the only thing that you will manage are those, are the time that you spend actually being pulled away. If you take a step above that lens to say, am I really planning am I really focusing on the things that are going to drive value? Those things are the ones that I need to make sure that are rising to the top of where I spend my time. And then managing the distractions, the emails, and the things like that actually support that come after. What tends to happen a lot of the time, Ron, is that we put all of the things that are the to-do list that are kind of like, got to get this done, but it doesn't add value. It doesn't create worth. They're just distractions in its sense, and we put those on the top of the list. And therefore, when we get out of our peak time, we then try to use the remainder of the time to focus on the things that require a higher level of concentration, when it's the opposite.
Okay, so I had an epiphany again. So you're giving me a lot of those, okay? So I should go ahead and plan those things out as well as instead of planning those distractions. The one thing that I don't do is I don't plan my social media, and it's more of if it's a break, I'll have a break and do something, or I'll schedule something. But social media is one of those things that I give myself maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, and then I don't touch till the end of the day, or twice a day, or whatever the case may be. I don't touch it until towards the evening time. And, that's why the Stretch Yourself community is usually hanging around evening time, because they know they can get me on Instagram and they can get me on all those other sites where they can chat with me and learn different things. Another thing that I think we talked about it before, about putting the things on my calendar. That has been very helpful for me to put things on the calendar, but it has not been helpful for me to be really productive, because I'll see it pop up and I'm already busy on something else, and then I'll just dismiss. So is that good for you to do, to put it on your calendar if you're not going to hold yourself accountable, or should I just put it in the air? Because
I think that if you put it on the calendar in the same way that you create a level of respect for someone else's time, it's the exact same thing that you want to do for yourself. So if you're working on something that requires your attention and that you really do have to stay focused on, not a problem. But then I would also challenge, are you giving yourself enough time to work in that space? Because the other side of it is when you start looking at planning your time, you can set unrealistic expectations and you hit dismiss, which then creates a behavior within yourself to not honor that time or honor that alert. The whole point in the alert system is to make you shift or remember the reason why you put it on your calendar. So if you can't honor the time that you've placed on the calendar, then I would suggest you assess whether or not you have the right time. I do this as one of my classes I have. It's called Time Management with a Twist.
Okay.
And part of that class, it's called penny planning, and you basically take and allocate the amount of time that you spend doing different things, and you take it kind of a from state to a to state. So if I were to say to you, Ron, at the end of the week, how well did you stay on task with the amount of time that you've allocated to your activities? And if you find that you're spending more time in one area or the other, ask yourself, are you spending time in areas that are adding value? And if not, then you need to make an immediate shift. And if you are, then ask, do you have the right amount of time? Because you don't want to create the behavior in your mind to just dismiss your notices. You want to be able to honor them, but you also want them to be accurate.
Man, okay. My epiphany came to me, but then it disappeared again. OMG, I'm just having so many moments and I'm writing things down. You're tearing me up, Cherelle. I was wanting to say that I plan my hours, but when that pops up, I know the shift. And then I know this sounds weird, I go to my board, and on my board I have projects, people, and priorities. So projects is what I'm working on. People are the people that I need to contact in those three projects in order for me to move forward with them. And then priorities. What are the priorities on those projects to make it move? Now, where I have been successful is doing it that way, putting it on the board, which brings me to my epiphany, is knowing your modality. My modality, because I'm an author, is writing things down. And I'm a visual person too. So I've been learning slowly in increments and little needlepoint shifts on how I need to best manage my time. And at the end of the week, I may have one or two follow-ups that I need to do, but everything else I have checked off. And then I take my time and I celebrate, really just do a little success. Hey, I got everything done. Man, I'm excited for next week. And then I look at my bigger picture and see how close I am to the bigger vision of moving things forward. So
you're doing great.
I'm a work in progress. I'm definitely a work in progress. People always ask me, how do I get everything done? And that's basically how I do it. And like you were saying, you have to really want it and really, really look at yourself and assess what you're doing to move forward.
That's right. It's being intentional with every single day and looking at time less about the concept of time and managing your time, but really managing your energy and your productivity. Those are the things you can control. You can't control every second because that's just a measurement in space. That's all a clock is. But what you can truly manage is really the amount of energy that you spend on, exactly like what you said, on your priorities, on your projects, and making the right relationships, which sometimes if we get head down, we forget that sometimes it's the right relationship that can help to propel you.
Yes. And guess what, Stretch Yourself community? Light bulb. She just brought it back so that I had my epiphany. Effort. Cherelle said, you have to assess your effort on those projects. And that's one of the things that I have not done that, man, I have been in the practice of doing now and saying, okay, how long is this going to take? And then I'm going to schedule out my time based on that. And I'm detailed, and I'm using myself as an example. Number one, I say 0-300 to 0-400. I'm in the gym. I'm working out from 0-415 to 0-430. I'm meditating. So, and I'm using military time. And I go through the course of my day, and then I do my breaks like that as well. I make sure that I have my breakaway times too for me. And I'm distracted. Not saying that I'm distracted. I'm scatterbrain, if you want to say. I have to have some background, just some distractions to keep me engaged. So usually I have some music going to keep me concentrated, and other things that keeps me engaged. So, Charelle, are you ready to give the Stretch Yourself community a surprise? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, Stretch Yourself community, Charelle has a surprise for you. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about how she plans a typical day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you put down your pens and paper and just listen in, and then when you have time to download it and listen how she plans her day. So we're just going to go through very, very briefly how you plan your day.
Absolutely. So my day actually starts very early. I'm an early riser at about 4 a.m. My peak time is typically in the morning.
Okay. Hey, I'm a morning person too.
That's right. So I get up and I actually, I say my prayers and things of that nature. I spend time in meditation, and in that meditation, I also look at where it is that I'm moving. So I'm very, very intentional in terms of purpose and ensuring that the things that I'm doing are online with being purposeful and intentional.
Okay.
And then I develop 3 to 5 specific things that I can focus on that day that brings me closer or that are aligned to my purpose. I do actually plan in distractions as well.
Oh, wow.
And I do that because, you can pretend that the phone is not there. You can pretend that, say, Facebook isn't there. You can pretend that those things don't exist. But all that does is shift your mind from really focusing on the things that are in front of you to wondering if you could focus on social media. So when you allow yourself, just call a spade, as I say.
Yeah.
Plan for that distraction, but exactly like you honor that alert, you stop because you recognize that it's taking you away from where you want to go. And that's something I'll talk about maybe the next time around, which is the muscle memory and how we mitigate distractions if there's times today.
Oh, there's time today. Let's talk. Let's get it out.
Okay, awesome. I'll come back to that one. So then after I kind of do that, I move through my day with first, say what you're going to do. Right? So I say, this is what I want to do. I go through the day and actually do it. And I check in on myself, an hour, 2 hours in to say, did I accomplish what I intended? Before I go into meetings, I spend 5 minutes with what I intend to get out of the meeting or give in the meeting.
Oh.
And at the very end of the meeting, I allocate 5 minutes to say, was the intent of the meeting accomplished? By doing that, I minimize having to go back and have to schedule secondary meetings, and it also creates an intentional focus while I'm managing my time in that particular meeting or space. I recognize that I do not have to be in every meeting and that I have a very capable team. And so I sort out and say, what are the things that are Cherelle critical? Like, I have to make a decision on this, or is it something that I can delegate and give to someone or make it a growth or stretch assignment? That keeps me out of the loop of being on everyone's calendar and no time on my own for me. At the end of the day, I follow up with what was accomplished for the day. Did I move the needle closer? And if not, and if I did, I celebrate those small wins. Celebrating it creates greater energy for you to want to repeat the same thing the next day. So that it's kind of like cheerleading for yourself. I'm not saying you got to go out and celebrate big, but you celebrate the small wins along the way. And if I did not, it's no problem. I take it and I move it back for the next day, but I create the same level of intentionality to getting it done. Distractions or overcoming procrastination. Do I have a second to kind of touch on that one?
Yes, you do.
Procrastination, typically, like when you think about why we procrastinate, we typically procrastinate because it's something that we have now associated a negative feeling with. So
okay.
Like you talked about how you like to write, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if writing is for someone else something that they may not like to do or they might dread doing it, the way that we overcome, and because they don't like to do it, you wait until the last minute that you absolutely have to get it done, right?
Yes, I do that. You are don't hit me in the stomach like that. Do not.
Well, what we want to do is if we create meaning for those things that we're procrastinating, because say, for instance, I'll use a student taking a class. They might, put off studying for the test until they have to actually cram and then take the test. Well, if you associate a positive meaning for taking the test, which is passing my grade and getting paid, so to speak,
yeah.
Then what we're actually working to do is shift the way that we have conditioned our mind to seeing that particular exercise. I haven't researched this, but I do believe that there's some science behind it with the chemicals that are released, in terms of that fight or flight reflex. If we see it as something positive, we want to do it more. Think about if you're addicted to what I call the scroll of social media. You just sit there and kind of scroll. It doesn't do anything for you, but for whatever reason, you're satisfied by just scrolling. Well, what if we shifted the exact same mindset by saying, Well, when we scroll, it's actually keeping us away from our purpose and the things that our business and our vision. And if we associate the amount of time that we're losing by scrolling as diminishing the amount of time that you could actually be recovering more money or moving in your purpose or helping more lives, then you begin to lessen the amount of time that you spend on the scroll or in the distractions for this matter. But then you shift and say, okay, well, I like helping people. I like the feeling of pursuing my purpose. And when those things occur, I am excited. In order for those things to occur, I have to do these things. So it's a matter of being able to shift your mindset from those things that you don't like to do to the things that you do, but also recognizing that if you begin to reassociate a negative emotion with, call it the distractions, you focus less time on them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because I have things that I have to do, and I tend to procrastinate that way by putting them off until the last minute, just like you said, until I have to do it, and then I go ahead and do it. One of the things that I've made a decision to doing whenever that comes up, that procrastination angst, as I like to say, I do it. I go ahead and do it right then, right now. I push straight through it. I actually push through it. And what I've done is I've built my confidence that way. Starting from January, I mean, I've built my confidence. I've put in proposals that, I was like dreading putting in. And these people want me to work for them. They want me to do some business with them. And I just been putting it off. Like, I didn't understand it. When I started pushing through it, it was the confidence factor of me saying, okay, yes, I'm getting things done. And it's just a matter of me moving forward with that. Now, last question. Do you think that procrastination is an inherited trait? Because I used to always blame it on my dad. I'd be like, yeah, my dad was a procrastinator. That makes me a procrastinator. We always try to point the finger onto somebody else to make them justify the way we are. Do you think that procrastination is something that's inherited, or is it just something that you learn?
I think it's a learned behavior. I don't believe that it's inherited. I do believe that if you grow up around that kind of behavior, it inherently becomes a part of you, unless you recognize it and then work to dispel it, And the way that you can do that a lot of times is creating a disciplined approach to mitigating or to avoid procrastination. You got to create meaning for it. That's the reason why. Otherwise, we fall into the loop of procrastination.
Okay. So, I know that I said that was going to be the last question. It is, but as always, we love to give gifts out to the Stretch Yourself community. So, give me 3 things that somebody could take away from this podcast right now to implement so that they can move forward.
Absolutely. So in terms of actually expanding or increasing your productivity, one is creating space within your existing day, which just simply means distractions and idle moments exist in your day. What are things that you can do to transfer and make those times more valuable? For example, sitting in traffic, right?
Yes.
No one likes to sit in traffic, but what are things that you can do while you're sitting in traffic, whether that be listening to a podcast such as this one or looking at ways that you can be productive?
Okay.
The second one is around planning your peaks and writing it down. So we talked about that earlier today as it relates to your peak times and your most effective times and the times that you have your highest amount of energy and you're your freshest self. Those are the times that you want to focus on the tasks or things that require the most, that will yield the most productivity. And the third one is use resources that automate your day. Automate what you cannot delegate. And what that simply means is there are a lot of existing technology resources that are at our fingertips and grasp. It doesn't take but a couple of minutes to do a little bit of research and learn what would be the best way that you can apply technology to give you time back. The simplest example I use is, would you rather get a paper check or direct deposit? Paper checks.
I would love. I like wires. Direct deposit, of course, yes.
I mean, because in terms of the accessibility of your money is automatic versus having to get the check, take it to the bank, stand in line, cash the check, wait for it to hit 7-5 days versus being able to take a minute, set up the system for it to be directly deposited into your account, and you're done. Productivity in terms of being able to expand it. If you find the ability to front load, which is what I call it, so doing those tasks that might require a little bit more time but give you time back, invest in those, because you will win by being able to create the residual on the back end by doing the event or doing the action only one time.
Wow. Man, I sat here and I just took great notes, Stretch Yourself community. I hope you have taken notes, but if you have not, oh my God, 3 of them. One, she talked about creating space. How can you make, and this is the question that Cherelle brought up, how can you make the idle time productive? Very, very important. I love that. Number 2, plan your peaks. When are you the most productive? I know I'm a high energy person early in the morning time, in the afternoon, and then the later parts of the evening I wane off. So find out which are your most productive times that you can plan your peaks around where you can be the most productive. And then my last one, and the most favorite one that Cherelle brought up, is automate what you can delegate. Meaning, use some technology in order for you to be more efficient, because that technology is going to free that time for you to have more time with yourself. That was a great example that she brought up with the bank account. You're going to go sit, wait in line, or you're going to have direct deposit. I still see people today collecting checks. Listen, set it up so that you have more free time for yourself, so that you can be more productive, not only for yourself, but for others. Hey, Charelle, I want to thank you again. It has truly been an honor for you to be on this show. I truly appreciate you. As always, I told you, I live through you vicariously through your social media and all the posts that you do. And I'm probably one of your greatest cheerleaders, and I'm so proud of your accomplishments, and I'm so honored of your progress. I mean, I'm probably beating the drum for you, but I really, really appreciate you, and I only look for more success for you in the near future.
Thank you so much, Ron. It is always a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Stretch Yourself, the Empowerment Podcast. There are hundreds and thousands of podcasts out here, and I want to personally thank you for choosing my podcast to help you build a better relationship in business and in life. To listen and download more interviews like this one, subscribe to the channel. It is available on iTunes and Google Play for download. Connect with me socially, keyword Stretch Yourself. Thanks for listening.